All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Offcast. Today we're doing the NG round table. We have DZ Creeper, Flu, Weekway, and myself. If you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick, we'll start with DZ.
Sure. Hi everyone, DZ Creeper, longtime Highlander player, invite, mixture of like medic, engineer, and demo experience, mostly engineer recently.
Hello, I am Flu. I've been playing Highlander for a long time as well, mostly at an invite. I've won on NG a couple times, played a bit of heavy as well.
I'm Weekway. I think most people know me from the Sixes and Engineer video. I'm more of a Sixes player than anything else, but I mainly play Pocket Soldier in Sixes, but I also play a little bit of Engineer in Highlander. I've also played Engineer and Soldier in Prolander as well. Currently rostered in Sixes for the Retro Cup that's going on.
I'm Hypathy. I play IM Engineer in Sixes, and I'm trying to get to an invite level with the class. So that's introductions. How do you guys warm up on Engineer?
Oh no, my terrible question. I find actually in pubs, I like to play a lot of heavy because it really translates well to the Wrangler aim. I would like my contribution to that.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought about that.
Because I find like especially on like a competitive level, if you're trying to deny bombs or like pushes on Asheville bats, it's very common that you need the Wrangler aim. So I like to practice that. Other like for just for like pure flicks and stuff, just the classic like A-Labs Kovacs stuff though.
Yeah, I don't think about warming up for Engineer specifically. I just kind of consider it warming up aim in general. So like DZ said, the aim stuff like Kovacs, I do a lot of that. But I also try to play a lot of sniper and scout, and I feel like, you know, one day I just decided I wanted to play a lot of sniper, and through that my aim got a lot better on all the classes. So I just warm up with stuff like that, pretty much. Just jump into a pub and shoot people on any class. I don't think it matters too much.
Do you find that scout actually makes your aim better though? Because I always have the problem where if I play scout, I like start overshooting on engineer because the movement speed's so different.
Yes.
I haven't noticed an issue with that. You would think with the speed, it might throw off your aim a little bit. For me, the idea of being there and using your gun to shoot something helps with the aim on NGU. Even with that speed difference, just clicking on people is the thing that I think is important. Again, the speed can, maybe might throw it off, but I don't think it's
I gotta ask, what
deal.
sense do you play on? Because that might be the difference between us.
Could be. I think I have 800 DPI. I forget what. I think it's 1.41 in game.
Okay, so you play on a much lower sense than I do, because that's probably that's probably upwards of like 8 inches per 360, right? I play on like 4.
Yeah, it's I do play on a very low sense.
That probably explains the difference. I can't play scout and engineer the same way.
Yeah, for me, well, it's ironic because in terms of sense, I used to play. My sense used to be like 2400, and then I would have my in-game sense is 3, which I have not adjusted the 3 at all for the in-game sense. But I'm also more of like a movement player. But I've recently tried to decrease my sensitivity. I also switched from like a normal like gaming mouse to a vertical mouse because it's better for your wrist and everything. So I switched to that as well. So for me, I'm hoping that will, help things along and like make sure that I don't have carpal tunnel when I'm, 30 years old. However, I don't really I never typically did anything to warm up. Like I got Kovacs off of like El Maxo talking about it in one video, just to like get used to the vertical mouse that I have. But I don't do anything else to warm up besides like I don't do it in a way that like makes sense. Like I don't like if my team is MGing, cool, I'll hop in and I'll MGE. But otherwise, like I just like jump on like a jump map. I never did anything else. I would just go in, and just shoot people in like the pregame, and that was pretty much it, other than the jump map, but that was pretty much it typically.
I'll say real quick, the sensitivity thing, I feel like I'm limited a little bit with my low sensitivity in terms of, demo and soldier, because those take a lot of, like you said, Queequeg, like you have a higher sensitivity and you're doing a lot more jumping.
Yeah.
With the low sense, it can be really challenging with that.
Yes.
And I feel like my own skill set in TF2 goes way more towards the hit scan classes, and I guess that includes NG. So I'm kind of left behind on the projectile type of
makes sense.
Things.
I will say I have reduced my sensitivity, like I was saying earlier, to 1600, and so like that, that's 1/3 or 33% less than it was, and I can definitely tell that it is a little bit harder to rocket jump, but it took me a minute, but then I got used to it pretty quickly. Again, with the vertical, like I think me getting the vertical mouse and changing my sensitivity at the same time kind of helped, because I think like you shouldn't fuck with your sensitivity too much. But for me, doing both at the same time, it like forced me to kind of relearn the whole thing at once, if that makes sense. And I think that kind of helped. But yeah, I don't know. I've always sucked at like Scout, like DZ, like I'm in the same boat as like DZ, where I'm like, if I play Scout and then I switch to NG, I like overshoot like everything. It's really bad.
Okay.
How I usually warm up on NG is just like I MG my teammates, like NG v Scout or NG v Soldier, the latter of which is like impossible most of the time.
Yeah, that's why I had to start playing. That's why I had to start like using heavy as a warm up, because nobody would MG an engineer.
I think
that's why I just do it with my teammates.
I get pretty lucky. Yeah, I would MGE my teammates as well if I was able to. But the only thing for me is just because it's difficult to get an MGE like server or map that allows you to pick engineer on any map, for like first of all. But the other for me was like, even if that was the case, because I think that we would usually do like Badlands mid. But for me, I was just like, I'll try like, unless like we're really going hard, like I'm not gonna build like a sentry gun, you know what I mean? And do all that. Like I'm just focusing on my aim specifically as engineer. I don't know. I always thought it was good practice. Like if I got to MG my teammates.
For me, it's usually the surfing that I practice, because I don't know about you, but I surf a lot in sixes.
You mean on soldier, right? Not engineer?
Well, surfing the soldier rockets, I'm sure he means.
Oh,
like,
I see.
Trying to fight them.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are used to surfing like the bullets to the brain from the sniper, right?
We don't get a chance to surf. We just explode.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm never playing that game. Anyways, how did you guys start out playing engineer?
I guess I'll go first, because mine is like a very like uncool story. So I guess I'll say this first. I didn't play engineer for the first like 200 or 300 hours I played the game itself, like when I got it back in 2015, because I thought it looked like too complicated and stuff like that. So I was scared to even touch it. And then years later, when I got into Highlander, I started on heavy, because I thought that was the most fun and what interested me at the time. And one season I was just looking for a team, and this one team needed an NG, and I'm like, okay, that sounds kind of fun. So I played it, and apparently I did the engineer's job well, like on that first try, compared to some other people that had been playing engineer. So I just went with engineer for the rest of kind of my time. And I eventually branched out to other classes, but I kind of just started on engineer. It was kind of natural for me. Like, I think me and for anyone listening, in Highlander, engineer is very much a support class. Like, you're not doing a lot of like frontline shooting people. You're building teleporters, you're building dispensers, you are protecting people basically, and also fighting front lines when you get the opportunity, but you're denying soldiers, you're denying spies. I kind of lost my train of thought, but way of playing just kind of identified with me a little bit. How I've been playing TF2 and how I've been playing other games as well. Engineer just seemed natural to me, so I kept playing it, basically.
Yeah, my story is a little bit similar to Flu's, where I sort of just like bounced between classes at first, and then one season in like UGC Silver and like 12 years ago, I like landed on Engineer. It felt natural to me. The hit scan aim was good. Badwater was a fun map to play back in the day, and then I sort of just stuck with it for a little while. And then eventually I like switched over to Medic, and that's like how I got to Invite on Medic. And then once I was in Invite, I like sort of switched back to Engineer a little bit because I found it more fun.
Yeah, it's for me, me playing Engineer, like I'm mainly a Soldier player. However, I mean, hence my like profile picture and everything. But like I started playing TF2 back in like the summer of 2013, like on my friend's computer and everything. But I didn't start playing competitive TF2 until like season 3 of Sixes. But in my experience before, it's kind of a shame Dane isn't here, but in my experience, like for most of my beginning career of like being a pub TF2 player, like basically no one would play Engineer. Like you would get into like Upward or whatever map, you know, it could be Palo Race, anything along those lines. And I feel like you would get in, you know, it's like the normal, you know, 4 snipers or spies or whatever. But we would always need an Engineer. And so that it kind of like forced me to choose Engineer early on in like my play style, like me playing TF2 in general. And so I started picking him up as like one of my main classes very early on. He was always my like second favorite, or like he started as my second most played out of like necessity, but then he very slowly became my second favorite in the game in general. And that just continued on. After my first season of competitive TF2, which was in Sixes, my team decided that we were going to be like, oh, let's do both a Sixes and a Highlander team. This was during COVID, so like everyone had the time. And so it was immediate, like the idea of doing the Highlander team was that no one would play the same things that they play in Sixes. So like our medic was playing sniper, you know, our scout was playing pyro, our demo was playing soldier, and our soldier, you know, that's, you know, you get the idea. And so, but for me, it was pretty obvious, like the obvious choice for me was to go from soldier to engineer. And so like that's how I played a little bit of engineer and Highlander. But I've always liked Engie. So, you know, I just started out of necessity, you know, being the change you want to see in the world, or at least in your server of 24 people.
I still see that a lot, where like there will be teams and pubs that need an engineer, but sometimes I look at the team and I'm like, if I build you a teleporter, will you actually get more kills? And sometimes I just have to go play a different class and get the kills myself. Yeah,
I do think that like I know that you, like you were saying, like you're like an older player, or at least in terms of like TF2.
Me and Flu have great hair, you can just say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but the thing is like back in the day, I feel like there are many things that I know have drastically changed in like the pub mindset. Like back then, no one would upgrade your teleporter at spawn. I mean, on top of them already costing like 125 to build, right? But like no one would upgrade them. Like no one would help you at all. Like you wouldn't get heals. Like some of these things still happen or whatever. But like I feel like nowadays, like playing Engie in like the average pub is way better now than it was 10 years ago. I know most of that is due to videos from Uncle Dane. And like educating the general like TF2 player base on like, oh, by the way, if you can change class and do these things for Engie, like you can make their lives way easier without like expending any effort. And I think I'm interested to see if like the general amount of players like now view Engie more favorably because of that. Because like before it was like you're throwing the entire team on your back and they do not give a shit at all. Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I know Hype with you still, so you, but it's funny. Like I brought up that story about me not playing engineer at the start of when I played TF2 for the reason of saying like I've almost never had an interest in playing engineer in pubs. You know, I cannot remember the last time I played NG in like casual or in Uncletopia. Must have been a long time ago. It's pretty much for me just like an only competitive interest of mine. Like in pubs, like whenever people ask me what I main, I say I main sniper. That's my favorite class in the game. But just playing NG and competitive has led to me having the most time on that class actually on my Steam like charts. So yeah, NG for me, it seems fun in pubs, but I've always gravitated towards more like sniper and scout and demo and stuff like that in pubs. And I wonder if I should change that. Maybe I can go play some casual NG and do all that fun stuff you see like Uncle Dane doing, because it seems kind of fun. We'll see.
I think with that, I think it's also kind of the case with me with Medic, where, I don't know, I feel like I find over time, I think the game kind of gets to me less, I guess. Like even if I'm playing like a pug or whatever, like, I'm a medic and I just get sniped and I like drop Uber, it's like, well, oh well, that sucks. Like, my team, like, if the stakes are higher, sure. I think for matches, for like Highlander or Sixes or whatever, like in the moment, that's gonna really suck. I'm gonna be like, beat myself up about it. But I think like in pubs, like it's like, oh no, Spy is sapping my teleporter. Like, I'll just go replace it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel it. I don't know how many people still like get emotional over like losing their buildings and XYZ. It's just like, all right, well, I just gotta go do that thing and maybe kill the Spy. Like, I don't know. Sorry, Hypathy, go ahead.
I started out playing TF2 by like watching Uncle Dane and stuff. Like before I played TF2, I saw Uncle Dane's videos. So the first class I ever picked up was Engineer, and then I just kind of stuck with that for a long time. I would like try out the other classes, but they wouldn't really click with me. And then once I was starting to get like better at the game, I started to crave a kind of that competitive experience. So I tried to play Highlander. I didn't like it very much. I just don't like getting my head blown off. It's just, I'm not a fan. And I noticed that I was sort of forced into a very passive playstyle, so I opted out of Highlander. So I went to go play Sixes, but when I asked if I could play Engineer, they were like, that's not Ran. Play Flank Scout instead, that's the next best thing. So I got forced onto that for a long time, until I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna play Engineer anyway.
Did you like have to make your own team to make that happen?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
Yeah, I had to make a team called the Meta Breakers, which is actually where this is gonna get uploaded.
And does that mean the other people on your team are also running like non-meta weapons or classes? Like, do you have a full-time spy or sniper or anything like that? Or is it just kind of NG? Okay.
And then sometimes off-meta weapons, though that's situationally. Most of the time, like, we run loose cannon on lasts, for example.
Are you guys just in it for the fun, or do you guys like actually like try to win the season?
We do try to win, but also because it's fun.
Okay, because I've actually like played on a Sixes team with a full-time off class before, and it was a struggle to actually like get off wins against the good teams, because they would just adapt to the strategies too quickly. Like within 2 rounds, you would be losing.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, even if a team learns to adapt against the Engineer specifically, there isn't a huge inherent downside that puts your team at a disadvantage. I noticed that the games that we do lose, we would have lost anyway. It's never been a cause of the class we run.
I suppose because just playing Engineer is just a slightly worse scout at the end of the day.
Yeah. the end
No,
of the day,
when I did it, we had a full-time heavy, so it was a little bit different. I imagine engineers probably a little bit less detrimental.
I think a little bit. Though I think you could even do like full-time spy and make that work, but I don't know. It depends how you play around it. You gotta change your playstyle a lot. Your demo isn't allowed to take ammo packs anymore, that's for sure. That's mine.
Yeah, I called well, DZ, you play with Broccoli, but I think if I remember correctly, I think I called out Broccoli specifically in one of my either my newest or second newest video, whichever one of the engineer videos it was, about being like, oh, please do not grab the ammo pack on rollout. Like I need that. I need that to like build buildings, please. Because he would, because the biggest one, because Bagel, I think, is not even close, like Engineer's best map in Sixes.
Oh, does he do that in Sixes too?
Yeah, well, he was on my team for the NG and Sixes team. That's how he really started playing, like, really getting into demo.
Bro, he still does that in Highlander.
Yeah, but he would grab the medium, he would do it on accident, but he would grab the medium ammo pack on rollout on Bagel. And I'm like, and Bagel is Engineer's best map in Sixes, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, if I don't get that ammo, it's like, it's easier to start with 200 than 100. So, because then I can build a level, I can put mini in a dispenser.
Yeah, you also need to be like always able to replace your gun.
You build a dispenser in Sixes? I figured that you just get ran down too fast.
No. Dispenser armor is super strong, and just having that kind of general fallback area is very strong.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing as well, it depends on which game mode you're playing, because like in Koth, you can have it being like a fallback area for one. Because like in Bagel, for example, you can put it on concrete. Like, yeah, you might not be fighting up there, but like if you need to run back for health, or your like left house soldier needs health or ammo or whatever, like they can go grab it really quickly without having to like really commit that far away. Whereas in like 5CP, like it depends on the point, but the thing that I had when I was playing Soldier in Sixes was, and I play Pocket Soldier, is very often like, if you, depending on where you are in 5CP, you might have your Pocket Soldier in your demo like fighting over like a small or medium ammo pack, and like just throwing it out on a dispenser just ends that fight forever. So you can just, you don't ever have to worry about running out, which is, I mean, it's not a huge thing, but it does help a lot. It also alleviates like having your like heals a little bit, because for two reasons. One is like, obviously the dispenser gives health, but honestly the best part about it is if someone's standing still in the dispenser, then the medic can just shoot right above the dispenser and they're basically going to hit their arrow like every time, which is nice.
Did you build your team around that playstyle? Because when I've played Sixes, I don't have a lot of experience, but I mostly played like, it was all very fast paced. Like there was no time to get set up like that.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
I'm not sure about Weequay, but for me, I had to set up my team to be... They had to be able to be very aggressive and very passive to allow me to have time to do things. Sometimes I kind of just have to ignore the more supportive buildings and just focus on like getting a mini up, because that's just the most I can do in a given situation.
The main... Go ahead, sorry, Hypathy.
But they will try to give me time to do those things, if possible.
Yeah, for me, it just depends on what your team is doing, because like you don't have to build. It's not like you're pushing one single point at a time. Like, for example, if you play a mid, like goalie wash, I'll use that as an example. So, like, if you wipe the enemy team on mid, you can do like the standard thing, which is you immediately like get ready to push last. Because if they wipe on mid, by the time like you can have your flank scout cap mid and cap last. But the main thing would be like, instead of doing that, like you can still, like, if you're the flank scout, you leave the, you know, the pocket scout or whatever to cap that. But instead of like just going straight into last, you would instead like go into like wood and like build, like you can build your teleporter and kind of like getting started setting up early, whereas like your soldier and your demo can like hold the doors, and then by the time your scout is there, like you can take your Uber exchange, but like with an advantage, because then you're gonna have a teleporter, and then either if someone dies, they can either come back and try to quick cap again, or they can like come do like the thing where they go, like they die and then they come back heavy, and then they just really quickly come back in like post Uber fight as a heavy. and so on. It just depends on what point you're on, like what situation you're in. Like you don't always want to build a dispenser. Like if you're pushing, it's a waste of time. But if you're like, if you are holding a point or like holding the, you know, the point in Koth, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna be there for a while. It's not like in Koth, the point's not moving. So.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have come up with an elaborate way to play Highlander in 6s.
True.
I think it's just more of the kind of the better way to, I would say, is just I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make engineer work within the 6s format. But I mean, yeah. I mean, it just depends on how you view it.
I also think me and Queequeg had different styles of playing engineer. I'm a lot more aggressive, as far as I can tell. I do just sometimes kind of walk at like scouts and soldiers. And a lot of the time I'll win for some reason. I assume it's because they just aren't used to fighting an engineer, but I have no idea.
Well, in 6s, I mean, I think the other difference between 6s and Highlander is, like, in 6s, getting, like, if you have the Gunslinger, getting a 225, like, overheal is really good. Whereas, you know, like, in Highlander, you know, if you're facing... Don't get me wrong, you can face a sniper in 6s. But in Highlander, like, you can still get just domed by a sniper instantly. Whereas, like, typically, like, if a soldier has to, like, hit you with 3 directs to kill you in comparison. If that makes sense?
Well, you guys get buffs in the 6s? What a luxury. Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. We have the health pools. You guys ain't got shit. But I guess you got the Wrangler and the Rescue Ranger and all that stuff. So I think it evens out.
The Rescue Ranger isn't worth anything in the competitive.
Yeah.
Can I
I'm gonna let Flu talk.
Can I ask, like, when you're playing NG in 6s, do you think of it as a replacement for a flank scout or combo scout, or like its own thing?
I try to think of it as its own thing, because if you try to force engineer to do the things that flank scout does, then he's just gonna be slightly worse, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's
I think
his role. You have to think of him as his own class, or it is just gonna be worse.
Yeah, the best way to think about it, I think, is because no matter what, like, if you think about 6s in the way of, like, because you can think about the default lineup, I think but, like, why do you run a flank scout? Like, why do you run a pocket scout, etc.? Like, you have to weigh, like, the pros and the cons. But, like, for example, like, playing, like, scrims as, like, a regular flank scout, like, just against other people, with the same team as the NG team, like, that I was on. We were just scrimming other people. They were like, oh, I think we had already been knocked out of playoffs or something, but we still wanted to play. And they're like, oh, can we play regular? And I'm like, cool, that's fine. And so we played, but there were many times where I was like, oh, if I was engineer, I could be doing this. Oh, if I was engineer right now, I could be doing this. If I was engineer right now, like, you know, the dispenser would really help here, or the teleporter would really help, or like having a mini to cover this. Like, there are downsides, 100%. But there are upsides as well. So, like, I think it's easier to, like, break down the class about, like, what their roles are. Like, you know, a soldier, like, yeah, you're a pick class, but, like, you know, and you can sack, but, like, you know, you're trying to get some damage. In general, you gain, like, you try to make space, or you can, like, stuff doors and things along those lines. Whereas, you know, the engineer can buy you certain things as well. So I think it's just, the role that I would replace is the flank scout, and I think that's what Hypathy does right now. But, like, Dane, who had also run 6's engineer before, ran it instead of pocket, if I remember correctly. But I think that was yeah.
It wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just sort of have to acknowledge what the flank scout did and then do your best to cover what he would normally be doing. So the flank scout's main jobs in 6s is to hold the flank, obviously. The engineer can do that fine. Cap points, engineer kind of sucks at that, and clean up players.
Which the engineer is really good at.
Depends. On pushes, he's bad at it. At holding, he's really good at it.
Are you guys gonna try take these strategies into higher divs of 6s? Because maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like some of the stuff you're talking about only works because IM demos might not be able to punish you for it. I feel like that may not work as you climb the divisions.
Right now, my gun almost instantly gets destroyed.
Oh, so it's already a problem?
Yes, but not really. That's kind of what you want to happen. Your buildings are an obstacle, so if they're getting damage and not your teammates, then that's a good thing. That's kind of like the goal when I'm putting a gun up. Sometimes, like if it gets a kill, cool, but ideally it's just to pull eyes away at the very minimum, and just to like take damage away from my teammates.
I see. So you're never actually you're never trying to hard hold a flank. You're just making sure that the enemy team can never push your combo effectively.
Yeah, because like there isn't. Eventually, you will just get through an engineer's hold. He can't hold forever, especially not with minis and no wrangler. But you just kind of want to slow them down to such an extent where the play either wouldn't be worth it, or you basically you're giving your team so much time to do stuff that what they're doing doesn't matter as much.
No, I'm just surprised that you don't blow up instantly. Basically, like that's just why I'm gonna watch some of your 6s clips later, because in my mindset, if I played against like an invite or an advanced demo man, like engineer would not be viable at all.
I got pretty good at surfing. If that helps.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, the thing is things will go up and down as each player gets better. For me, I'm a soldier player, so I don't. But I know Hypathy wants to take it up, but he will likely be very much better than me quite quickly at engineer. So
I'm already better than you.
Hey, there you go.
Ooh.
You guys have to settle this with some MG.
Can I ask a quick question? Like, it's not a very deep question, but how often are you using that? Because so when I think about NG and 6s, I'm thinking about defending last, obviously, with the sentry gun. But also that, like, tech where you put the teleporter exit in front of a door, and when they use through, you take it to try and telefrag them. You do that?
I haven't used it, but I have gotten a lot of telefrags.
Unironically, I mean this with all seriousness. For some reason, so you can place obviously teleporters are unironically extremely good in 5CP if you can get them up. However, if they get destroyed or you get pushed back, if you get pushed back and they don't get destroyed, using the Eureka effect to get behind is not always a bad choice. You would be surprised how very open the space can be and them not get checked. And then you just walk behind the meta and literally just hit them with a 108 twice in a row with the panic attack, and you either get the force and die, which, it's whatever, you have a level 3 on last, or you don't and they force, they either die or they don't. So like, it's not something you should be doing often, but otherwise, like, I don't think any like crazy stuff like that is like super like viable. I mean, I don't know. Hypathy can speak more to that, but it worked a few times that I do it. But
most of the time I get telefrags is when someone is trying to camp my teleporter. A lot of the time, especially when a team is kind of playing a little silly against us, because that'll happen a lot. They'll go, oh, this team's playing engineer, so we're just not going to try. Oftentimes they'll try to like camp your teleporter for when people come through, but I think 6's players are kind of a little bit stupid, and they don't really know the range on the teleporter where it kills you. I got a 3K with the teleporter once. I don't know how the fuck that.
You gotta like make a YouTube video explaining that they should just shoot the teleporter. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single reason why you would camp a teleporter in 6s.
I was gonna say, because the other thing like if your teleporter's behind for some reason, unironically, the good thing to do, like if you're holding last, maybe you don't want to send a soldier, but otherwise, if you do have your teleporter behind, I would send my roamer, like if they would sack, like if we were on our second, they would sack, and then instead of like them anticipating our sacker to, come from in front of them, he would come behind them and get the force or kill the medic almost every time. But, it depends.
No, we do the same thing in Highlander, but the difference. I just thought in sixes you wouldn't do that because if you sack one of your players, you're down 16.66% of your team instantly.
Well, I mean, if you were gonna stack anyway, we might as well give them the best, the best advantage. You know what I mean?
You can also kind of nullify it with guns. Like it's definitely not as bad because you can kind of summon a little NPC.
Yeah.
But it can, Usually you do it on your sack wave.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So usually have a scout and they off-class to engineer. Do you ever play engineer and then you off-class to scout? Is that ever a thing you do? Or it can be any other class you might switch to, like sniper.
I definitely swap classes, but usually not scout.
So
there's some mid fights where scout is just a requirement. Like you literally just can't get an engineer up in time. But that is the only time I really go to scout purposefully. Usually it's like, if I'm changing classes, it's usually to like heavy or sniper or pyro.
Yeah, Hypathy was a lot more like strict on the engineer thing than I was, I think, in a way. But I generally would only off class to scout on mid for like metalworks, and I think that there was one more map and I can't remember. Maybe it was Sunshine. But yeah, Metalworks. The problem is that the rollout is super duper long. It's so long. Like even if you're it's already a long rollout for like scout and soldier. Like as a pocket soldier player, like it's already a long rollout. So like if you're going there with no like movement advantages, it just takes forever to get to mid as engineer. Like you're just not gonna get set up by the time you get there. But generally speaking, otherwise, I think the only other time I would swap class is because like generally speaking, engineer, like if you in sixes, if you want to defend last, you want to have an engineer. He's the best class at defending last on 5CP. So like basically everyone will choose to have an engineer on like if they can get a gun up, because like it's going to be even better than pyro because they have to shoot the gun and waste their uber on it, whereas like pyro is kind of like a give, like maybe it denies the uber, maybe it doesn't, it usually doesn't. But if there's no time to get a gun up or anything like that, and I know they're about to push or whatever, like maybe I would swap to heavy. But typically I would just come up with like minis, but heavy is the next best choice for like holding last if they're like already in. Like I'm not gonna be able to get like anything. It's gonna be a lot more impactful for me to play heavy than anything else. You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, I think at this point I just don't play scout in sixes anymore. I've figured out that on most maps where I just cannot get an engineer to the mid fight, I can usually get a pyro to the mid fight instead. And it's pretty strong there because a lot of the maps that you just can't get an engineer to the mid fight also happen to be soldier maps.
I should add, I think Hypathy's mechanics are better than mine. So I do, like, one of the reasons for me swapping out Scout for Engineer as well was that my worst class, like, in terms of, like, a normal person who plays, like, competitive TF2 is probably Demo Man, but my second best in comparison to, like, a newcomer, like, a newcomer Scout could probably blitz me on Scout, like, but Engineer, I don't know, like I said, it's just the movement thing with the aiming, I don't know, it's not super great, but on Soldier I'm fine, but Scout just messes me up.
I could probably play Scout and be okay, but he's not very fun to me, I guess. That's like the best way I can put it. I just don't enjoy playing him.
So, what's the next topic there, Hypathy?
Where do you guys think the engineer's skill ceiling lies? Because I don't think it's been hit at all.
I think it was hit a long time ago, to be honest. If you play Highlander, there's really only like one viable playstyle nowadays, and that is to build teleporter, babysit sniper, because as soon as you try and do anything else, you basically like blow up on the flank, or your sniper dies to some bullshit and then your team loses.
that sucks.
Like even a few years ago, I used to play engineer in a very aggressive, like on mid fights, especially on like product and Asheville and Lakeside. You could just go all in, like play like a scout. If you do that against top level players, you just nothing happens.
I think there's a time and place for stuff like that. I think there's a lot of different skills. I guess I'll talk about Highlander Engineer because that's what I do. A lot of different skills to Highlander Engineer, and those are keeping the teleporter uptime, tracking the spy. I think protecting your sniper is also a big thing that can be improved on in different ways. Like, I think the skill in the game as a whole has gone down a little bit in Highlander, especially with spies. Like, when I'm scrimming this season and I'm playing against spies, it is so easy to stop the spy on my sniper because they are just not as good as who the best spy is, who is Demento. When I'm guarding my sniper, he always finds that one spot that I'm not looking, I'm not able to body block. And I feel like having to face spies like that, and just players in general like that are constantly like exploiting any little weakness you have, can increase the skill ceiling of the class. That's not what I mean, but you need to get better at engineer to stop a lot of these better players. And on engineer, it's so hard to do that, but I think that increases the skill ceiling, like where you need to be. You need to be really, really good to stop what these better players are doing against you.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think maybe I'm thinking a bit more mechanically rather than like the game sense portion of it. If anything, I think my game sense has actually declined in the last few years as the good spies have quit. Yeah, that's like a good point.
Yeah,
I was gonna go ahead. Sorry.
I'll say real quick. Like, I guess I already said this, but when I'm scrimming, it is like massive whiplash when I go from any of the other spies to Demento. And Demento, for anyone that doesn't know Highlander, is probably the best Highlander player ever. Just understands the game mode way more than anyone else, I would say. And he will exploit any weakness you have. And it's basically just your job to protect your sniper sometimes. And it is such a mind game when playing against someone like that. I cannot make any mistakes against that player. And like I said, the skill level of Highlander has gone down a little, I'd say a lot. So it's hard to say like, oh, the skill ceiling isn't that high, and there's not much thought you have to put in anymore, because against really, really good players that are playing at their top level, it is really challenging. And I'm still trying to improve, like, every time I play. How can I, in this specific spot, how can I defend my sniper better? Which spots should I spy check more to prevent the spy from doing that? Where should I be standing to see every spot the spy should be decloaking from? Where should I stand to make sure I can body block from any of those spots that I might see him decloak, or that I can't see him decloak? Am I close enough to my sniper that I can body block? There's just so many questions. And when I see other engineers play, even myself, this skill ceiling of making those correct decisions every time is not even anywhere close to being reached, I think, in recent times. And again, that's maybe because of the lack of like awesome players you're playing against who just make all the correct decisions, but I think there's still a long way to go for all engineer players to playing those situations perfectly.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, because I think the thing is like, from like the highest I think I played in Highlander was like high IM, and like the last season I played, like we played like an old style team, but that was in like season 21 of Highlander. But like the last time I had previously played Highlander was season like 10 or 11 or something like that. And so we went, like the meta had changed so much in that amount of time. Like what was required of you just changed. So like in season 10 and 11, like I know like protecting sniper was starting to become a thing, but like, you could still watch, like go onto the stream on RGL and see like Exa doing something else or whatever. But even just when I had played my most recent season of Highlander, like that was, what you were supposed to do. And I think it's just what was required of you has just changed over time, and maybe it'll change again. But I don't know. I think because when I originally played again at a lower division, obviously, where things aren't like as hyper focused, because I had saw that a lot of the engineer players that I would play against were not very they could have like the game in their brain, but they weren't very mechanical. I think most of them had like really relied on the Wrangler to do all the aiming for them, but then you'd like go and like fight them 1v1 and they'd miss like shots on you, like with a shotgun. But if they had their gun up and everything, like they would do everything, that part of it correctly. Like they had that part of it like kind of down, like the defense part, but not like they weren't great at like Koth, for example. But maybe those people, they're better at like thinking about the other things. I don't know. It just depends on what like you need. Because like for me, I know I would be terrible at everything that you were just talking about, Flu. Like I know that like having to like look for spy and like make sure the sniper doesn't get killed by anything. Like I know I would be horrible at that.
I think sniper is the one class in the game where the skill ceiling has actually risen over time. Therefore, protecting the sniper has just gotten more important. Like monitor refresh rates have gone up, mice have gotten better. People just practice more now. Like the top snipers are the best they've ever been now.
So, and there is so much pressure on you as the engineer to protect that in Highlander. And I understand why people don't think maybe doing that is fun. Like that's your primary goal. It's not your only goal, but it's your primary goal. I can understand why people don't.
I was taking the question of mechanics of like skill ceiling more mechanically. That's why I said I think it's been reached. Whereas Flu actually plays a little bit differently than I do. He is more of a babysitter for the sniper. He does a better job of that than I do. That's why he has a higher skill ceiling in that than I do right now.
To be honest, I think that if the babysitting, because like one of the main reasons why I did like switch to or was playing engineer in sixes was a different conversation that we don't have to talk about right now, but was the main reason. But the secondary reason was that I had played Pyro in Highlander, and the babysitting like aspect of Pyro made me want to like I wanted to die. It was horrible. It was the most boring thing I've ever done. So like and then when I played my most recent season, I hated babysitting the sniper. Like it just, I'm sitting here losing brain cells, like waiting for something to happen. I know you can be more proactive, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I want a game. I want to shoot the enemy gamers, but you know what I mean?
I think you might actually enjoy higher division Pyro, because in the higher divisions, Pyro does not babysit sniper anymore. It's engineer.
Yeah. Well, I was playing Pyro as like a one-off because Broccoli asked me to. He tricked me into playing Highlander 3 seasons in a row.
Good lord.
So,
I think
or whatever it was.
Part of the engineer skill ceiling is like you said, like balancing the like impact you can have on all of these different jobs you have. Like, when should I be sitting on my sniper? Okay, now I see the spy and soldier are dead. How can I effectively fight on the point? Because engineer's weaker than scout, we know that. How can you still be effective on the engineer when you're not doing those things, like protecting your sniper when that's not needed, or when something is more important? How are you deciding what can be more important at any given moment? I think there's a lot to it, and maybe the reward of thinking about engineer a lot isn't super high because of just how the class is, but I think there is a lot to think about when playing that class, trying to maximize its effectiveness and all the different things you have to do.
I was gonna say, I think the higher player count for Highlander as well probably plays a little bit into it, because like, say the enemy sniper and spy is dead. It is like, does that mean for you, Flu, that you are like, okay, I'm gonna like take a peek at what everyone else is doing first, or like you get off the sniper, or do you stay with him?
Say that question one more time.
Like if, for example, like your sniper wins the SVS, and then like the spy gets killed by your pyro or whatever. Maybe he just randomly eats a pipe and he was using the big earner or something and he dies. So like those two players are down. Do you still stay with your sniper, or do you kind of like go do other things until you respawn?
I leave my sniper, but I am constantly looking to see what my team needs at any given moment. Like I'm thinking, like, does my heavy need help on the flank? Does my team
Yeah.
need another body on the point? Things like that.
Interesting, because
I feel like when people think about engineer, like
He's a really great hole filler.
yeah,
He can fill
Yes.
the patches that are in your team really well. Oftentimes.
yeah, because for me, like the equivalent would be like, okay, say I'll use Gully Wash again because I used it as an example before. Say we're holding mid and we're fighting, me and my roamer are fighting their scout and roamer in big door, and we kill their roamer. Okay, awesome. So now, like, my first reaction then is to be like, okay, we're gonna push their flank scout, and then I'm gonna get like my roamer behind, and then me and my sentry are gonna hold this door for a little bit until like my roamer can get ready and like we can pincer the other team. Like it's I think a lot more like, okay, we did a thing or someone died or whatever, and like, okay, how can I immediately go to attack? Like I think it's the like kind of a different dynamic where I'm looking to play with my roamer in like the like kind of encompassing the enemy team, like kind of seeing to how we can like push our advantage as much as possible, like in that moment. Whereas I think you are more you're like, okay, we need to make sure we don't lose our sniper. Again, I think it's you're playing the shield and I'm playing more of like the sword in this case, I guess.
You stop babysitting the sniper in my experience a little bit. Like when the enemy team has no pick classes, you can stop doing that job, but then you have to go babysit your med, because usually what'll happen is the enemy team will double sack their soldier and demo into your combo, and then you have to deny that. Like you just have a new job. You don't get to play aggressive.
Yeah, because for me, I think the other thing as well is like because like I can leave like my mini like either with me in like the flank when I'm playing engineer in sixes, or I can leave it like with my pocket scout, and then like basically no sackers. Like it's very, very rare for a sacker to get anything off at that point. But say you have it with you in that situation, like you have more classes to like more people to worry about like sacking, because like in sixes, at least 1/3 hopefully of their team is going to like try to like, if you're capping a point, like 1/3 of their team is going to retreat, because the pocket scout and the medic should be trying to get, or the pocket scout should be trying to get their med out, because obviously they don't want their med to force or die, and their demo might be going with them, so like half their team is gone off of that. Whereas like like you were saying, like they lost their pick classes, now they're gonna either sack into your medic or sack into your sniper, and so like again you're like always on the defensive rather than like, even if you're in like a defensive situation, you're not on the offensive, I guess.
Yeah, also even if there is no sack, if you play too aggressive like on Koth, you can literally just walk around a corner and there's gonna be a buffed heavy and you're just toast.
Yeah,
I mean, I do think the sixes engineer skill ceiling is higher than the Highlander one.
I'm not sure. I think it's just different. I find this very interesting. I think it's just different.
Well, because I'm not to say that the Highlander skill ceiling for engineer is low. It's obviously very high, especially in terms of game sense. But in sixes, you have to be mechanically extremely good to survive in any extent at a high level. And you also have to have really, really good game sense to just be valuable as a class at a high level.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose you're sort of like putting yourself in an artificial restriction where I suppose maybe if you play engineer, your game sense develops faster in sixes than if you played scout. Yeah. Just because honestly, the class feels like such a disadvantage to play in sixes.
It's not that bad, but when the players are hitting, or at least right now it's not that bad, but when the players start hitting every single shot and the soldiers are always juggling you, that's when I imagine it starts to get a lot harder.
Yeah, I honestly can't even enjoy sixes that much at a high level, because that's exactly what happens. If you're not playing the meta, you don't get anything done.
I do disagree with that, but
no, I mean it like a high level. Like at the invite advanced level, if you start off classing, the enemy team just knows how to punish you so fast that you don't really get anything done. Like you build your sentry in wood on Gully Wash or whatever, and it just doesn't last. Like you just get collapsed on immediately.
If they're collapsing on you, they aren't doing anything to your team.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they can collapse on you, and then they can go and rotate and kill your combo in like such a short amount of time that it's not worth playing engineer in that situation. Whereas,
but there is also something to note of your team at this point should also be invite and can also, rotate into them collapsing on you and punish them for it.
I get what you're saying, but it's a very fine line where if your team doesn't do that to perfection, you just explode as engineer, and now it's a 5v6, and now your team's in a very bad spot.
Well, yeah, I mean, if your team is worse than the other team, then you're going to lose the match, right? That's just kind of how it goes. I don't think the class matters very much, to be honest. I think what matters more is how your team is functioning than the classes they run. Unless you're doing something stupid, like just straight up playing.
I do agree with you. I'm just trying to say that as the divisions go, exactly, the difficulty of off-classing is exponential. Like, if you play against Banny on Engineer, you will have the most miserable experience of your life. At IM, it's insanely fun.
I do agree with that, but I don't think it's impossible. I just think you have to be really close to the skill ceiling as the engineer to like function at that level.
Well, I feel like, your concern with Sniper and Highlander, because Sniper can just kill people from across the map, would also kind of apply to how it would be at a higher level. Like, people play the game so well that they are probably just as powerful as a Highlander Sniper. And
I mean, hopefully I'm also playing at that level.
Yeah. It's just kind of also how the classes are designed, I feel like. I guess you can try to play to the engineer's strengths, but the reason that the Sixes classes are the standard, I'm sure you know, is because they're so versatile and can be useful in every situation.
I mean, at a high level, an engineer team versus like a standard Sixes team, if you compared their gameplay, it would not look similar in the slightest. You'd have to change a lot to make it work, but I still think it's possible.
Well, I think the other thing as well here, I mean, we're talking in hypotheticals. I mean, the main issue, I think, in general, though, is that, I mean, I'm sure you guys know from Highlander, where, from my understanding, Highlander has a similar invite problem to Sixes, where, like, you have just teams that are going to be, like, just insanely better than everyone else. Or, like, in Sixes, like, you can have, I think, like, last season, Froyotech was, like, the super team. You know what I mean? So, like...
But here's my opinion, right? If you had Froyotech just run an off-class full time, it wouldn't even matter which one. They would still win.
Yeah. I mean, they have already with Pyro before, but yeah. But you get the point. I think there's the, like, but if you're going, like, 5th and 6th place or whatever, then I think it matters a lot more. But from my understanding, Highlander is similar in that way. Yes, no?
It used to be that way. In recent years, the top teams have gotten a little bit closer together. Now the mid-pack league invite teams can still take some rounds off the top teams if they're playing well.
Yeah.
But I just think in Sixes, because there's fewer players, if you have one player who is doing a different job than you're expecting, it becomes a big deal. Like, yeah. I'm not even sure what Invite Engineer would look like at an Invite 6's level, because you would have to completely change the playstyle of all of your splash classes to give your engineer time to set up.
It is kind of hard to imagine. I do agree. I can kind of imagine it, but I just haven't experienced that level of the game, really. The highest I've ever played Engineer in was like low advanced, high main. And that was in like a pug. It wasn't like a real scrim or anything like that. I did okay, but that was the highest level of the game I've ever experienced personally, so I have no idea what it would look like at an invite level. I mean, the jump from main to advance is insane. The jump from advance to invite is even higher, and even just like low invite to high invite. So I just haven't experienced it, but from what I've seen from how people at that level, like just from like looking at demos and POVs and stuff, I think it's possible. I don't know what I'd need to change right now.
How long have you been playing Engineer in Sixes? I'm just wondering.
Not super long. 6 months? Okay. 7 or 8 months, I think.
Okay. I mean, that's no time at all compared to how long I've been playing and how long DZ's been playing. So maybe figure something out with that. Who knows? Because are there other engineers like y'all two? There's y'all two. Do y'all play against other teams that run full-time engineer in sixes?
Very infrequently. Mostly
But it
just
does
when-
happen.
Yeah, mostly just when they're trying it because we tried it. I noticed that's been happening a lot. I'll like play a team as the engineer and we'll like stomp them or something, and then they'll go and like, hey, you guys want to scrim again? We're trying out the off class. Or just like something like that. And that's usually most of our off class.
Have you two ever played against each other? I'm curious about the hypothetical NGV engines.
Actually, no. Unironically, no, we have not.
That'd be really fun though. We should set that up.
It would be interesting. But I was gonna say that I do know that there are. I think it would definitely be interesting. But I was gonna say I know there are players in like other regions, because a lot of players have reached out to me because of my video. And so, well, you had talk about it, right? Write your things down. I mean, 90% of the guides made for competitive TF2 are like 12 years old. So, but the and are out of date for that. I guess I should be more specific. But a lot of people have messaged me, but that aren't like American. Like, for example, I think there's like the equivalent of like a main team in Australia right now with like an NG team. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm interested to see how it'll go. Different regions, different play styles. You get the idea.
Just nice to see. I think there was an EU team that tried engineer full time in like Div 3.
Well, there was that. Also that Australian team. That was a year or two ago, where they had, or a few years ago now, where they had one of the top invite teams in Australia had like a full-time sniper, which I'm sure really sucked to play against. But you know, I'm not in Australia.
Like, I think objectively speaking, the most viable full-time off-class. But just because the skill ceiling for it is so high. And
Yeah, you just hit every shot and win. It's
Yeah, he has a guaranteed pressure in the game. He's never going to be useless. And then, like, second best would be Pyro. And then I would put Engineer, like, just below Pyro. But they're pretty close. I think basically any team could make full-time sniper work. We're gonna move on to something a little more kind of like a thought experiment. I think it'll be kind of fun. So there's been a lot of weapon concepts brought up for Engineer over the years. So I'm gonna list a few. We're gonna talk about them. They'll never be added to the game, but I think it'll be interesting. The first one, the dispenser backpack, which was suggested by Uncle Dane.
So it's you just walk around as a dispenser.
This is your ability to build the dispenser, but you always have like basically a level 1 dispenser on your back with like a little bit of extra range, but you can't upgrade it.
Is it a secondary?
I assume so. Yeah.
Sorry, Highlander players.
I don't see how that would ever be viable outside of pubs, to be honest. Because I think with Engineer's HP, you just explode too fast. Your team can't justify playing next to you.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think it'd be really good in pubs, but I think in Highlander the power of the Wrangler is I don't know. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat. That's my guess.
In sixes, I don't think it would be bad though.
I mean, because in sixes you're only competing with the pistol.
Yeah.
But I think I personally would rather have the dispenser, but that's because I also like to have dispenser walls or dispenser armor. But
I
don't know.
I don't see how it would be viable in sixes, to be honest. Your medic has much higher HPM, and your team should never be struggling for ammo.
Yeah,
And I'm
don't.
sorry. Does the dispenser, it heals yourself as well, right?
Yeah, it would also
Okay.
give you a passive healing.
Okay, go on. Whoever was talking.
I think the self healing is the only reason it would even be viable in pubs. If there was no self healing, I don't even think it would work there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was curious. Next item is the jump pad, which is a thing in TF2 classified.
Mhm.
The man cannons.
I think that would be extremely powerful in Highlander.
You're gonna have to
getting your
fill me in on what
sniper
this
up
is.
to-
I don't play TF2 modes outside of like Highlander.
Basically the jump pad it would replace the teleporter, but it just gives your team, like, you can set it down and then you give every class the ability to jump up to a really high spot.
Yeah. Do you have?
So it's like a one-use rocket launcher for your team.
But
If
just
it
like
replaces the teleporter, then no.
I think you know on Bagel, like the jump pads there, like that in the lobby. Do you know that?
Yes, there's a Highlander payload map Eruption where it has the similar thing on last where you boost yourself up.
Yes.
It's that, but you can build that anywhere at any time.
Okay. I think that's actually sort of like a Sixes exclusive thing. I think it can be really powerful on maps like Gully Wash where you could boost yourself up above the choke point and then spam down on them. I think in Highlander, complete non-factor.
The only thing I could think of is like a gimmick where you have your sniper like shoot into the air to like headshot them from a weird angle.
Well, I still think there's spots on the map where it'd be really cool if you get your sniper up onto some unexpected angle. But to replace the teleporter, which is a huge part of the NG's job in Highlander right now, that would be too much.
I think on last, specifically payload lasts, it could still be pretty good in Highlander.
Oh, that's fair. That's true.
For what reason?
Well, you don't get as much use out of the teleporter on payload lasts outside of a couple of specific situations. So I think the jump pad could be pretty viable there.
I think it could be fun, but I don't know about viable because I'm thinking about all the payload maps in the pool right now, and I think a lot of the maps where it would be useful are no longer played. Like Barn Blitz and Badwater, I can think of great uses for that, but they don't get played anymore. Because there are sniper spots in those two maps where it would be really nice to have your sniper there, and the jump pad would get you there, but we just don't play them anymore.
I think it could also be useful for taking high ground quickly in some situations. Like, I also play Overwatch, I'll say that, and there's some like perks in that game if you've played it where it adds like a movement ability to your character, and that's super important. Like being able to get up to the high ground quickly to set up for like a fight, and be in that power position is really important. Like I'm thinking that the first map that came to mind when someone says payload is Upward, and I'm thinking about Upward last defending. You could possibly get your, like, on Upward last you hold the spawn in Highlander at least. If you had the jump pad, you could get your sniper from off the ground up into the crates that are like when you leave Upward defense spawn, like the windows and crates that are up to your top left that you can only get through by going under and up the stairs and stuff like that. Am I y'all thinking of the right spot?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I forgot about that spot. It takes a while to set up.
Yeah, and I think
the idea would be that you just
your
send
team
down
as well. Yeah. Just to make sure, you know, when you're resetting, your sniper doesn't have to walk all the way around going under and then up the stairs and stuff like that.
Hypathy, with this, do you get two jump pads or just one?
You do get two.
Ooh. I think that does change things.
And they do build faster than the teleporter.
I think that would
okay,
be
you know,
powerful.
that in that case, there's certain points, maybe like Swiftwater 4th, where that could be justified.
Yeah.
Swiftwater, yeah. I think it also would not be a bad escape tool, because even if you're leaving 4th, you could have, for example, like, because even if you don't take the stairs, or in this case, you could opt to not take the stairs, like off of Swift 4th, and instead take the jump pad up, just in case I don't know, there's someone trying to sandwich you there as you're trying to get away. If you can't get through,
I'm just thinking, like, with a jump pad, you get your whole combo into garage if you wanted. Your sniper can stand on top of sheet metal, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if it's viable, but I think it would be fun enough to justify replacing the pistol for sure.
Yeah. And if it replaced the teleporter, then on last payload defense, I think it'd be cool.
The jump pad doesn't replace the pistol. It's more like a PDA thing.
Oh, okay.
So it just replaces your teleporter with the jump pad.
Yeah.
Okay. So it affects
I still think that's fair.
Yeah.
would enjoy seeing that. That would shake up the meta, I think, a little bit, at least.
Yeah, I think that or the speed pad.
Yeah.
I would have fun
That's what it did in
fun-
Overwatch, like I said. Like, the perks, like, oh, instead of a double jump, you get a triple jump. Oh, sometimes on this hero you can fly to the high ground, and that changes how you play those heroes so much. And I feel like it'd be the same in TF2. So I would like to see that.
You were saying DZ? Sorry.
I was just gonna say that I think that would like make playing pubs on Engineer fun again for a little while, just to have that sort of mobility.
Yeah.
Okay, this one isn't technically a weapon concept. It's meant to be a rework, but it's basically a weapon concept. So basically, it's a rework for the Thompson, where instead of like the ass that it is now, it turns itself into kind of like a little mini jumper weapon, sort of like the detonator. You have 4 bullets in a given clip. You take 50% more damage from self-damage, and it creates a little explosion around the area that does like 20 damage. So it is basically the detonator without afterburn.
And firing, it still has the Thompson projectiles?
It's faster. It has faster projectiles than
Okay.
the Thompson.
I mean,
So it's like a little Liberty launcher, I guess, would be the closest comparison.
Sort of. Yeah.
it sounds.
Still
I
more
mean,
like the det.
it-
Not like the det.
the problem is the Thompson is so bad that anything that you do to it, like, does either, if you make it worse, it doesn't decrease its viability, but if you make it anything different, it's gonna be at least something interesting. You know what I mean? So like, I still don't think that this would be.
Thompson.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I mean, here's the thing is, like, if this is just another non-combat weapon, like, if you are using the Wrangler, or, you're still, now you're even more completely dependent on your team, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It also does knockback to enemies, I should note. And that includes like cloak spies or disguise spies and stuff.
I think with the added mobility, like when you're going for extra mobility, you're looking to be like aggressive with it, I think. Especially with like the small mobility, because it's like the det. You want damage to be able to follow up on the space you're taking, if that makes sense. And I feel like if that replaces the shotgun, you're not going to be doing much with that added mobility. Like, it's not like the jump pad where you get that huge boost where you can get up on these big high grounds. It's just the det, and that doesn't let you get up on any extra spots, I don't think. And if you're using it like the det, like people use the det on Pyro to get closer to them, like to get closer to them, to flame them down with the flamethrower. If you replace the shotgun with that, you're just getting close to them to do no damage, really.
I mean, you forgot about the other use case, which is that you can shoot the sniper and then instantly die.
Oh.
Sure. Can't forget about
I think just the
Perhaps.
combination of giving up your primary hit scan and taking the self damage is too much.
Also, something to note, it is not one shot in the clip like detonator, it's 4 shots, so you can go a lot higher than the detonator.
But there's still
I
self
think-
damage for every shot, right?
I think this is like a pub frag montage weapon, not like a viable one. I mean, it's better than the Thompson currently is, but it's,
I think you would have to take away the self damage for this to even be a discussion.
Okay, that's fair.
Otherwise, you can't even clip farm properly. Like if you're 70 health every time you start, then you
Yeah. Well,
clips.
dude, I mean, it's just like seeing all the people who make the frag montages where they like die instantly after. You know what I mean?
In pubs, you could have the wrench and then you could just like random crit people, it'd be fine.
Yeah, 2,000 hours of recording to get a 15-minute clip.
Hey, man,
Exactly.
it gets the views, I guess. I'm not one of those people though.
Alright. Well, I just thought that'd be fun to talk about.
Okay.
So recently, I noticed the public perception of engineer has been kind of shifting towards this class isn't very good for the game. Sort of in the same way that sniper has in recent years. Specifically, among like pubbers, they do not like the engineer very much as of late. And I was curious, why do you guys think that is?
I don't think that's a recent thing. I think every Sixes player has thought that since the Wrangler was added.
Broccoli
Like,
also hates
yeah.
engineer.
Like that is why Highlander is the slow game mode and Sixes is the fast game mode. It's because engineer exists.
Yeah.
The hatred is sort of justified. If you don't like a slow playstyle, you don't like engineer.
So you're asking why people hate engineer, like in general as a class?
Yeah.
I think for sure it's because of the Wrangler and the short circuit. I don't see the short circuit much as banned in Highlander, but the Wrangler basically requires you to coordinate with your team to destroy the sentry gun, because you're not going to be able to kill it by yourself.
No.
And in pubs, there's no coordination at all unless you are talking in the voice chat, which is very rare. So there's really not much you can do about that, and then you have to go spy and sap it, but then they're just going to kill you. And the short circuit is just like annoying. There's like no other way to put that. It's just very annoying to play against if you're a projectile player. There's no counterplay to it. There's no deleting the projectile or dodging it or it missing. I'm not sure why people would hate it other than the reason of those two weapons.
I know people, ironically Broccoli included, that also don't like engineer because of the sentry gun. Mostly just because it's for me, I think it's just cope, where it's just like, man, I can't comprehend something that limits my limitless movement of insert whatever class.
I think if engineer didn't
skill
exist,
issue.
then heavy would be primarily hated, because it's just the gun, basically. That's why heavy is. It's a mobile version of the sentry gun.
I'm not so sure about that, because I think the heavy, I mean, is not like, you're a player, you're not as disposable as like a level 3 sentry, because like if you level 3 sentry goes down, you can still build another one, whereas like if you die as heavy, you're dead. There's no eating the sandwich to get out of that, because I mean, especially if you have like, I mean, the Jag is so, or I say so good now, but it has been for years. Like your gun goes down, cool, you can have a level 1 back up within seconds. You know what I mean? But I think,
well, we are kind of out of time. So does anyone have any closing notes they would like to add?
I mean, just one quick. There's also the inverse of the engineer. Some engineer players, especially when they're newer to the game, they play engineer very passively. They might forget to build a teleporter. That can be hated too. Is just like, if you play engineer passively, you're not doing anything for your team.
Mhm.
And sometimes you will hop in pubs and you will see that behavior and you're like, okay, now we got to overcome having an engineer who doesn't do anything. That can be annoying.
Yeah.
or it's like the pyro who thinks that they lit someone on fire, that they're dead, so they just like run past them.
Yeah. Although I try not to be annoyed at that, because that's true of every class. You can be useless in any class.
I have moved past my I don't know, teen angst of being annoyed by that. Now I just think it's cute. I don't know.
I just consider it a personal challenge. I have 3 AFK engineers on my team. I have to win this pug by myself.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all the time we have for today. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. I like
did
talking
too.
with you guys.
I didn't think we were gonna go for an hour and a half. I have to go now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got some scrims coming
I
up
like
here.
scrims, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 8:30, so scrim time will be in 12 minutes when everyone's ready. And
True.
All right, so DZ Creeper, Flu, Weekwe, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
No problem. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah. This is probably going to be the only NG specific episode. The rest are obviously it's going to mostly focus on sixes because I'm running it and that's what I play. So I just thought this would be interesting, and it was. I had a good time. All right.
Oh yeah.
See you guys next episode.